those arms. We are almost complete with our mummy, so we've got to make a magic ring, and we're going to do 6 single crochets in that magic ring. And the mummy's arms for rows 1 through 22 are the same. I did put some inserts in here when you get to the second arm, and then the last couple steps are different for each side, but we start off both of them the same way. So 6 single crochets in this magic ring. When you get done, tighten it down, of course, and do your slip stitch to make your complete circle. Now row 1 is going to be 1 single crochet, and then we're going to do an increase in the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet, and then we're going to do 2 increases to finish this row off, and then we should have 10 stitches at the end of this row. Row 2, we're doing 2 single crochets in the next 2, 2 increases in the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to do 3 single crochets in a row, and then we're doing 2 increases in the next 2 stitches after that, and then 1 single crochet to end this row. We'll have 14 stitches. Row 3 is going to be 4 single crochets in the next 4 stitches, an increase, then we're doing 6 single crochets in a row and an increase, and that's going to leave us with 2 stitches. So we're going to do 2 single crochets, so you should have 16 single crochets at the end of row 3. Okay, so rows 4 through row 6, you're going to do 16 single crochets each row. So you're going to end up with 16 single crochets at the end of row 6, the same as what you did with row 4. Row 7, we're going to do 3 single crochets. And then we're going to do an increase. And then we're going to do 2 single crochets. And then we're going to do an increase. And then we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next 2. And now we're going to do 3 decreases in a row. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet, ending this row with a total of 15 stitches. Row 8, we are going to do a decrease. And then we're going to do 3 single crochets in the next 3 stitches. And then we're going to do an increase. One single crochet in the next one. Then we're going to do another increase. And then we're doing 2 single crochets in the next 2. And then we're going to do 2 decreases in the next stitches. And we're going to finish this row off with 1 single crochet. You should have 14 stitches at the end of this row. Row 9, we're going to do 1 whole row of single crochets all the way around. So you're going to do 14 single crochets all the way around. Row 10, we are going to start off with 4 single crochets. We're going to do 3 decreases in a row. We're going to do 1 single crochet. We're going to increase. We're going to do 1 single crochet, and then we're going to do 1 increase, and we're going to end up with 13 stitches at the end of this row. If you've done your decreases and increases, you should see something that looks like this. Looks kind of funny now, but it won't. Trust the process. Row 11, we're going to start off with an increase. We're going to do 8 single crochets in a row. Then we're going to do an increase. Three single crochets in the next 3 stitches, and our total count should be 15. Now rows 12 through 22, you're going to go 15 single crochets in each row. When you're done, you should still have 15 single crochets. You're going to at the row of end of row 22, you should have something that looks like that. You see that there's a nice crease right there, giving you some good definition. He's got a wrist. You're gonna stuff it up here. I would recommend when you're doing rows 12 through 22, stuffing it along the way. Now we're gonna make the shoulder area. So you're going to do 12 single crochets. And in this first row, when you get to the end, you're going to chain 1 and turn. However, in the next few rows, you will not chain 1. It's just this first row. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. Okay, so then row 23, after we turn here, we're not doing the chain 1 and the next rows. You're going to do a decrease, eight single crochets, and then we're going to do a decrease, and at the end of the row you're going to have 10, and you're going to turn your work. You're going to do a decrease, six single crochets, and a decrease, and you should have 8 stitches at the end. We're going to turn. We're going to do row 25. We're going to do decrease, four single crochets, a decrease, and at the end of this row you should end up with 6 stitches left. Turn our work. We're on to row 26. We're going to start, of course, with a decrease, two single crochets in the next 2 stitches, a decrease, and you should have 4 stitches at the end of this row. Turn our work. Row 27, decrease, and a decrease. You should have 2 stitches at the end of row 27. Turn our work. You're going to decrease one last time. You're going to have 1 stitch left, and you're going to fasten off, and you're going to leave a long enough tail for sewing. Roughly about 5 to 7 inches should be plenty. And then you're going to repeat this pattern to make the left arm up to row 22, and then we will make the other arm the opposite on the top. Okay, we're at the end of our second one. Making sure that you're stuffing when you're making those 12 through 22. And we want to make sure that the top is the opposite direction from the first one that we made. So we are going to make another 4 single crochets now. We're going to chain 1 and turn. That is the only row we're going to chain 1 at. Then we're going to do row 23. We're going to start off with a decrease. We're going to stitch 8 single crochets in the next 8 stitches. I'm going to do a decrease. You should have 10 stitches now. We're going to turn our work. Row 24. Going to do a decrease. You're going to stitch 6 single crochets. You're going to do a decrease, and at the end of this row you should have 8 stitches. You're going to turn your work. Row 25. This yarn keeps getting stuck. You're going to decrease. You're going to do 4 stitches, or 4 single crochets, sorry, and a decrease, and you should end up with 6 stitches at the end of this row. Turn our work. Round 26. We're going to do a decrease. Two single crochets in the next 2 stitches. A decrease, and you should have a total of 4 stitches at the end of row 26. Turn. Row 27, we're going to do 2 decreases across the top, and that will leave us with 2 stitches remaining for row 27. Turn our work. Do 1 final decrease for row 28. Fasten off and leave a long enough tail for sewing on to your mummy. Now when it comes to sewing on your mummy, I kind of just eyed it. I didn't count any rows. And of course we want to make sure that we're sewing the underneath and that we're hiding our stitches the best that we can, making sure that we sew enough on there to where it's nice and secure as well. when you sew on the opposite arm, you're going to want to make sure that you sew it on so that one arm is slightly higher, pointing up further than the other arm is. You can use straight pins or a safety pin or even a stitch marker to hold it into the place that you want it, and then you repeat.